In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this cute shamrock shaped dish scrubby. We're going to use the 100% polyester Scrubby sparkle yarn to create a shamrock today. I'm going to use two shades of green. I'm going to use the darker green for the body of the shamrock, and I'm going to use the lighter green for the trim or outline edging of the shamrock when we're done. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to begin with the dark green sparkle yarn, and what you want to do is you want to start off with a magic ring. So I'm going to go ahead and make our magic ring or magic circle, and I'm going to use a size 8 or 8 5mm crochet hook to create the shamrock. So let's go ahead and make our magic ring. Okay, so now what you want to do is chain one, and then do 6 single crochets into the center of the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to connect that with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Try it again. Sometimes it's tricky to get those stitches because they're very small. So slip stitch into that first single crochet. There we go. Okay, so to begin round 2, we're going to chain 2. And we're going to do 2 double crochets into every stitch. So we just did a chain 2. Let's do a double crochet into that same stitch. That first chain 2 will count as our first double crochet, so that's our 2 double crochets. In the next stitch, you're going to do 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And then 2 double crochets into the next one. So we're doing 2 double crochets in every single stitch around. Those 2. And then when we're done with this round, we should have 12 double crochets. Okay, so let me go ahead and count my stitches and make sure I have 12 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now that we have our 12 double crochets, go ahead and do a slip stitch to the top of that first chain 2 there, which counts as our first double crochet. So for this round, let's go ahead and chain 1, do a single crochet into that same stitch, and then the next stitch you're going to do 2 single crochets. And the next stitch, do 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets. Next stitch, 1. So we're alternating. 1 stitch, then 2. 1 stitch, then 2. So that's going to be the whole round. So the next one, do 2 single crochets. And then 1, 2 into this one. Then 1 single crochet. Next one we're going to do 2. And this one we'll do 1. Now let's go ahead and count our stitches. We're supposed to have 18 stitches at the end of this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the next one we want to do 2 single crochets. So we want 18 stitches. Alright, and then we're going to do a slip stitch to that first one. And that completes our third round. Okay, so the next round we're going to begin the bases of our leaves. So let's go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to do 1 double crochet into that same stitch. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1 double crochet into this one, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then do a slip stitch right into that same stitch. So that is the base of our first leaf of the shamrock. So if you look at it, you have a chain 3, a double crochet, and then we did 3 double crochets, 1 in each stitch, a double crochet, and a chain 3. So we have 5 double crochets in between the chain 3s. So now what you want to do is slip stitch into the next stitch. And now we're going to begin our second leaf. So chain 3, do a double crochet into the same stitch, and then do a single double crochet, do 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So it's 1 double crochet, next stitch, 1 double crochet, and then to the next stitch, 1 double crochet. Now into the next stitch we're going to work a double crochet, and then you want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then do a slip stitch into that same stitch. That is the base of the second one, the second leaf. So now go ahead and do a slip stitch into the next stitch, and then chain 3. 2, 3. And then do a double crochet into that same stitch. And then the next 3 stitches we will do 1 double crochet in each stitch. So it's 1 double crochet, next one, 1 double crochet, and then to the next one, also 1 double crochet. Okay, so the next stitch, go ahead and do a double crochet, then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then do a slip stitch into that same stitch. And that is the base of our third leaf of our shamrock. So now do a slip stitch into the next stitch. Now we will begin our stem. Go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then next stitch, we're going to skip the first one closest to the chain, and then the next one, we're going to do a half double crochet. And then the next stitch, do a single crochet. So 1 single crochet in the next 3 chains. So that's 2, third chain, do a single crochet, and then the last chain, do a slip stitch, and then skip this next one on here and do a slip stitch into the next one. Okay, so now we are ready to begin our next round. So what you want to do is slip stitch into the next one, the next stitch. Okay, so here's our chain 3 space. These are the chain 3s before we start our leaf. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a slip stitch into each one of the chains. So here's the first one. Do a slip stitch in each chain. We're working up the side of the leaf base here. Sometimes if it's hard to pick up that stitch because it's a chain stitch, just turn your hook and to grab that stitch, and that helps a lot. Okay, that's going to be a slip stitch. Now you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So now that you have your chain 3, go ahead in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets. Now in the next stitch you're going to do a half double crochet. In the next stitch do a slip stitch, and then do a half double crochet into the next stitch, and in the next one you do 2 double crochets, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you'll do a slip stitch right to the top of that chain 3, okay. Now working down this chain here, we're going to do a slip stitch a slip stitch in each chain. Like I said, if you turn the hook, sometimes it's easier to grab those chains because these are very small stitches because it's a thin yarn that we're working with. So go ahead and do a slip stitch in those chains there. Okay, and then that corner, do a slip stitch, and then working back up the 3 chains, do a slip stitch as well in each chain. 1, slip stitch, and here's that top of the chain, 3 there. Okay, so that's a slip stitch. Now do 3 chain stitches. Okay, so I just chain 3, and then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets. Alright, now the next stitch, do a half double crochet. And in the next stitch, do a slip stitch. And then do a half double crochet in the next stitch. And then in this next one, you're going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to do a slip stitch into that top of the chain 3 from the previous round. Alright, so now do a slip stitch working down those chain 3s from the previous round. And in the corner here, do a slip stitch. And now we'll be working up these 3 chains, doing a slip stitch in each one. Like I said, it's hard to see the stitches sometimes. I'm going to turn the hook, try to grab that chain. Oops. Okay, there we go. Slip stitch. Okay, so now you want to do chain 3. 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch, do 2 double crochets. In the next stitch, do a half double crochet. And then to the next stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. And then in this stitch, 1 half double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to do a slip stitch to the top chain there. That chain stitch. And then working down that towards the base again, we're going to do a slip stitch in each chain. Okay, so now we're in the corner here, just before the stem, do a slip stitch into that one. Alright, so then you're going to do a slip stitch working down the stem. Just do a slip stitch in each one. And now we're at the bottom here, so we're going to do a slip stitch, chain 1, and a slip stitch right back in there. And then turning the corner and working our way back up the stem towards that leaf here, doing slip stitches in each one. And now we're at the corner here. Go ahead and do a slip stitch. Alright, so we have completed the center part, the body of our shamrock, and now we're ready to do the trim around. So let's go ahead and fasten off with our green yarn here, the dark green yarn, and I'm going to just cut off the tail there. So now I'm going to yarn over and pull that through and give it a tug. And now we're ready to add the light colored green. We're going to add the light green around the edge to outline it. So I've got the green sparkle scrubby yarn here. Let me go ahead and get this started. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a slip knot. Okay, now I'm going to insert that into one of the stitches here. I'm going to start right here. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch to start here. Okay, so now in the next stitch, we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet. And we're going to do a single crochet in the next one. And then now you'll see that we're going to work up the chain 3 spaces here. So each chain, do a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and that's that third chain there. Now into that next stitch, which is the top of that double crochet, that first one, we're going to do 2 half double crochets, I'm sorry. So that was our 2. Now next stitch, do a single crochet, and then keep working single crochets. Here's the next one, do a single crochet. Okay, into the next stitch, do a slip stitch. And then you're going to do a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then here you have that double crochet there. We're going to do 2 half double crochets into that stitch. And then working down the chain 3, we're going to do a single crochet in each chain. Okay, so now you're going to do single crochets here as well in these stitches. And then working back up this way, do a single crochet. Okay, now this is that chain 3. We're going to do a single crochet in each chain. Okay, in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets. Oops, there we go, a second one. That's 2 half double crochets there. And then do a single crochet, another single crochet. In the next stitch, do a slip stitch. The slip stitch is right in between the 2 parts of your leaf that curve. Okay, in the next one, do a single crochet, and then another single crochet into the next stitch. So that was a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then the next stitch, do your 2 half double crochets. Okay, so now we're working down the chain 3 alongside the leaf there. And you're going to do single crochets, 1 single crochet in each one of those chains. Okay, and then continue the single crochets again. That corner, single crochet. Okay, so now we're back to that chain 3. We're going to do a single crochet in each one of those chains. Okay, and then the next stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets. And then a single crochet in the next, single crochet in the next one after that. And then a slip stitch into the next stitch. And then into the next one, 1 single crochet, and then another single crochet into the next stitch. And then you're going to do 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. Okay, and then we're going to work down that chain 3 space, doing single crochets. Okay, just continue towards your stem, working single crochets. Okay, so now we're at the corner here where the stem is, and then working downward on our stem, we're going to continue single crochets in each stitch. Okay, so we're at the bottom. We're going to do 3 single crochets into that bottom of the stem. And then now we're ready to turn the corner here, and we're going to work single crochets in each stitch, working back up the stem towards the leaf. Just keep working your single crochets. Now we're back here. We'll just do another single crochet. Just keep doing single crochets until you get to that corner, and then let me see if there's one in between. Okay, so actually that is the last single crochet that's going to fit there. So now I'm going to do a slip stitch to that first one. And there we have our shamrock shaped scrubby. And it's outlined with the lighter green, which gives it a nice contrast and really makes that shape of the shamrock stand out. So let's go ahead and, oops, I gotta insert the hook again there. It slipped out on me. Alright, let me join that with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to cut the tail, and we can weave in the ends. So let's do a yarn over, pull that through the loop to fasten off, give it a tug. And now let's go ahead and weave in our tails. I'm going to use my plastic crochet hook. I'm going to turn that over. This will be the back side, so you find the tails. Now this was the tail where we started the magic ring, so go ahead and give that a tug to make that center hole as small as you possibly can. And then we can weave in this tail. Okay, so this Scrubby Sparkle yarn is made out of 100% polyester. It's very nice because you can wash this in your washing machine, and you don't actually need to put it through the dryer at all because it dries very, very quickly. After washing it and going through the spin cycle, believe me, it will be almost dry, and then you just let it air dry the rest of the way. These are great. You can basically just keep washing them and keep using these until they fall apart. So hopefully you'll get a lot of use out of it. Alright, let me go ahead and cut off that end. Now we just have 2 more tails to weave in. Since these are close together like that, I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple of knots here. I'm just going to tie it a couple of times. And then this is the light green, so I want to make sure when I weave it in, I weave it in along the edges here. Because if I weave it in here, it will stand out. So we don't want to do that. Oops, I keep missing. Let me try that again. There we go. Okay, I'm going to just weave that into these stitches along the edge. Okay, and cut off that loose tail there. Now I just have 1 more tail to weave in, and then I'll be done. Okay, so let me just weave it in along the edge here. And the further that you weave this in, the less chance of it unraveling on you. So you do want to weave it in a few stitches to make sure that it's not going anywhere. Alright, so once you're satisfied with how far it's woven in. Go ahead and cut off the tails. And then there you have your shamrock shaped scrubby. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I hope that you will subscribe. That way you'll get a notification next time I upload a video. Until then, happy crocheting!